morning. This is pre-algebra for Wednesday, April the 22nd. Today we are going to talk about problem set 86. Problem set 86 is evaluation with signed numbers. Now, when we do evaluations, we always have to consider the orders of operation, which means we have to do powers and parentheses first, then we multiply and divide, and then finally we add and subtract. Now, we're not going to have all of those processes today because we're going to focus on what do you do when you have a signed number? What if it's a negative? How do I do that? Well, it's really not very complicated. You just have to think. We're going to use algebraic addition. That's going to make it simple for us, okay? So first, we're going to have this problem here at the top. I have 2 times negative 4. I'm going to turn this over just a little bit. Sorry, guys. 2 times negative 4 minus 3 minus 3 minus negative 6 times 3. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is multiply. Okay, so when I multiply, I'm going to say, and I start from the left to the right. So I say 2 times negative 4. Well, 2 times 4 is 8. Since one sign is negative and one sign is positive, my answer is negative. So I have negative 8 minus 3, because that's just a subtraction part. And then I have minus negative 6 times negative 3, which is 18, and it is positive because both numbers are negative. Okay, so now what I have is I have a negative 8 minus a negative 3 minus 18. Now I'm going to use algebraic addition. What does that mean? It means, remember, we said the sign goes with the number. So we have negative 8 plus negative 3, which is negative 11. Negative 11 minus 18, or plus the negative 18. So I have negative 11 plus negative 18, so my answer is negative 29. Okay? What if I'm asking you to evaluate? What does that mean? Well, it simply means you're going to substitute. When you have a formula, you take a formula, you substitute in. For example, if I say we're looking for the area of a rectangle, we know its area equals length times width. Well, if the length is 4, so the area equals 4 times the width, and we'll say the width is 2. It is 2, so the area equals 8, we'll say, square inches. Okay, what did I do? I wrote my formula, I substituted my formula, then I solved my formula. We're going to do the exact same thing when we have an equation. Okay, we're going to write down our problem, or write down equivalent to the formula. Now we're going to substitute. Okay, if we're going to say for this particular problem, x is going to equal negative 2, and y is going to equal negative 4. Okay, if x is negative 2 and y is negative 4, we're simply going to substitute. Negative, now remember, this means the opposite of x, and x is negative 2. So I wrote the opposite, use your parentheses, negative 2, minus parentheses, negative 2, times, so I'm going to put another parentheses, negative 4. Now I'm going to go through here and I'm going to multiply, okay? I'm going to go on and take care of this because it's like multiplication, though it's not. Okay, I want the opposite of negative 2, okay? Because it says I have a negative 2, this means the opposite of it. The opposite of negative 2 is a positive 2, so I'm going to put 2 minus negative 2 times negative 4. 2 times 4 is 8, and since they're both negatives, it's going to be a positive, okay? So now I have 2 minus 8. So what is my answer? 2 minus 8 is, because really what we're saying is we're saying 2 plus negative 8 is negative 6. All right? Let's look at the next one. We have a negative a minus ax. Now here's a difference, okay? Let me look on here, make sure I have the right evaluations here. We're going to say that x is -3 and a is 2. Now, this, it says the opposite, right? It's the opposite of this, and we have a 2, so we're saying the opposite of 2 minus x is -3 times a, which is +2. So we're going to go through, we're going to solve this now. We've just simply substituted in. So the opposite of 2 is -2 minus, we have -3 times 2. Well, 2 times 3 is 6. Of course, you already knew that. And since 1 is positive and 1 is negative, it is a -6. Now, since it's a -6, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to use algebraic addition. So I actually don't need to write this one because I already have a negative sign, okay? So I have -2 plus -6. So my answer is, I'm sorry, I've got ahead of myself here. Since we have a negative, we're going to change these signs like that, okay? So now what do we do? Okay, you can't subtract that. So we had to change our signs to positive so that we can add. So we have a -6, -2, and a +6. I kept saying that all wrong today. -2 and a +6. My answer is going to be a +4. You say, why, Mrs. Turner? Well, because I had, let me go back to where I was at. Okay, where I was. Okay, this is what I had. Okay, I can't take a negative number and subtract a negative number. What do I need to do? I need to add. So I need to change the sign. If I'm going to change this so I can add, that means I have to change this sign as well. So now I have -2 plus +6, and I get a +4. Look at this. What if you have x is greater than -1? How would you diagram it? How would you put that on a number line? This is later in your homework. What we're going to do is we're going to put the number that we're talking about, number 1. I want you to put 2 on each side of it, okay? So here I have a 0 and I have 1. Over here I have a -2 and a -3, okay? Since this is x is greater than, what am I going to do to my dot, to my marker? I'm just going to circle it. Okay, and it says that x is greater than, make your arrow go the same direction as it is over here. Go to the greater numbers that direction. Look at this one. We have x is less than or equal to -2. Okay, so we have -2. Over here we have -1, 0, -3, and -4. What am I going to do to the marker? I'm going to color it in. Why? Because it is both, you circle it because it is less than. You fill it in when it says equal to. So I'm going to fill it in, okay? So I fill it in because it is equal to, and it is less than, so I'm going to go to the left. This was out of your exercise, but there's no way for you to give me those answers back. So I'm just trying to practice them because I know you do them a lot next year with Miss Argueta, as well as in our more advanced pre-algebra. Now, let's look at a couple more things today. Okay? What if you have AB minus A? Write that on your paper. AB minus A. What if A is -2 and B is +3? What are you going to do? If A is a -2 and B is a +3, this is what you should have. Okay? So we're going to multiply and say 2 times 3 is 6. 1 is positive, 1 is negative, so it is a -6. Now I cannot do this, can I? So what am I going to do? I'm going to change this to an addition sign, which means I have to change this sign to a 2 and get my 4. Look at the next one. X minus xy. What if x is, I gotta look at my book here. What if x is -3 and y is -2? Okay, so x is -3 minus -3 times -2. okay? Because x is negative 3, y is negative 2. So we have negative 3. We're going to subtract. We're going to say negative 3 times negative 2 is a positive 6. So we have negative 3 minus 6. And we're really going to add those, right? Because we're using algebraic addition. Okay, so what do we get? We're going to get negative 9. Okay, we're going to have negative 9. Let's see. Let's go ahead and wipe some of this off for us. Okay, let's look at number 1 in our book today. Harry traveled the last 240 miles of his trip at 60 miles per hour. The entire trip covered 480 miles and took 10 hours. How fast did Henry travel for the first 240 miles, okay? Well, let's make a ratio. How long was his trip? His trip was 240 miles. How fast was he going? At first, he was going 60 miles per hour. Okay, let's reduce that. How many hours did he travel? Well, take 240 and divide it by 60. And you're going to get 4 hours, okay, because our miles are going to cancel. So in 4 hours, he did that much. Now, how long did it take him to do the trip? Well, we said the trip was 10 hours. We're going to minus the 4 hours that he's already gone. It took him 6 hours to do the rest of the trip. Well, the rest of the trip, how far was the whole trip? 240 miles, right? Okay, it didn't say that he changed his speed. It said he went 240 miles. He did that in 6 hours. There's nothing for us to cancel as far as units. So 240 divided by 6. 6 goes into 24 4 times. He went 40 miles per hour. That's our final answer. 40 miles per hour. Let's look at what we did. We made a ratio and came up with how many hours he went. We subtracted the number of hours he went from how long the whole trip was to say he had 6 hours left. At 6 hours left to do this, because it didn't change his rate, how fast was he going, okay? Look at number 2. It says 40 tons cost $20,000. What would be the cost of 12 tons? Well, how much do we know? Well, we know that 40 tons, so let's write that up here. 40 tons is $20,000. Okay? And what do we want? We want to buy only 12 tons. Okay? So we're going to multiply the amount we want by our conversion. Now these tons are going to cancel. So what are we going to do? We're going to say 20,000 times 12, and then we're going to divide by 40. When we do that, you should come up with $6,000 is what we're going to spend. Look at the next one, number 3. The ratio of screaming fans in the box seats to the fans in the bleachers was 2 to 17. If 68,000 were screaming on the bleachers, how many were screaming fans in the box seats? Okay, so let's look at that. First, let's make our ratio. What's the ratio? It's 2 to 17. Okay, so our screaming fans, they're seated box seats to bleachers. Okay, then it tells us that we have 68,000 screaming fans in the bleachers. Okay, so what are we going to do? Okay, so we're going to put 68,000, but we don't know how many are in the box seats. So what do we do now? We cross multiply. 17 times this, I'm going to use the letter X just because I like it better, okay? And 2 times 68,000 gives us 136,000. Now what do? We divide because we need to get X by itself, and this means to multiply, so we divide. divide both sides by 17. This cancels, and this 17 is going to go into this 8 times 0. So it's going to be 8,000. 8,000 screaming fans. Look at number 4. 1,400 remained standing after the crash. If this was 1/7 of the total, how many were no longer standing? Now we're using a fraction, so let's use our pattern. Fraction times the of equals the is. Okay? What's the fraction that we're talking about? 1/7. 1/7 of the total is 1,400. Okay? I'm gonna change this to make it something a little more that we're accustomed to. X. So we have 1/7 x equals 1,400. What are we gonna do? We have to get rid of that 1/7, right? We do that by using the reciprocal. But whatever I do on the left, I must do on the right. All of this cancels, leaving me x. Now I'm going to say 7 times the 1,400, and I get 9,800. Now that's not my answer. That's the total, okay? But that's not the answer. Because look at what it asks you. It says, how many were no longer standing? Well, 1/7 is 9 of it was 1,400. That meant there was 9,800 total. Okay? And 1,400 of them are standing. So how many are not standing? I need to subtract. I need to go 9,800 minus 1,400. And I get 8,400 as my final answer. Okay, let's look at number 7. Number 7. What number is 140% of 140? All you need to do is multiply. Okay, your homework is on the board. Use these to help you get through the beginning of the homework. Okay, have a good day.